One of the most glaring examples of Democrats rewriting history and the impact of liberal indoctrination is the notion that racist members of the Democratic Party left for the Republican Party in response to Democrats' support of civil rights legislation. Now, I'm going to break down how ridiculous that idea is. First, it doesn't even make logical sense if you knew the history of both parties. At that time, Republicans were the champions of civil rights. So it's insane to believe that racists would go to the Republicans that had been fighting racism since their inception. It's like the KKK members joining the Nation of Islam because former Grand Wizard David Duke wanted to and did work with Marcus Garvey. It will never happen because no one would join a group whose platform is totally against theirs. At that time, Lyndon B. Johnson signed the 1964 bill. There were 21 Democratic senators opposed to civil rights. Out of these men, only one joined the Republican Party, and that was Senator Strom Thurmond. In fact, Republicans didn't pick up a majority of congressional seats in the South till the 1990s. So if all these Democrat racists were so upset, they sure took their time leaving the Democratic Party over a bill that was signed in 1964. I admit, I want to admit some of the truth that helped spread this myth of party switch. One of them is the candidacy of Barry Goldwater, and the other being the Southern strategy that Democrats use to explain why they lose elections in the South. Starting with the term Southern strategy, it was first used in the 1968 election to stymie any momentum Nixon had in winning the South. According to Democrats, the only way Republicans could win the South is if they appealed to the racists in the South. It would be unwise to do so directly, so Democrats said that Nixon and all subsequent Republicans would use coded phrases that would signal to racists that he was on their side. So speaking about crime, immigration, state rights is a dog whistle to racists, according to the Democrats. And it's funny that the Democrats are the only one that hears these dog whistles. If you know anything about a dog whistle, unless you're a dog, you cannot hear it. You will hear nothing unless you're a dog. So if the uh, supposed dog whistle is only supposed to be heard by racists and Democrats hear it, that should tell you something. In a world dominated by leftist ideology that is taught almost exclusively in our schools and the corrupt leftist media that facilitates our indoctrination, it's no wonder that myths of the Southern strategy and Democrats losing their racist agenda prevail in spite of evidence debunking it. Republicans wasn't helped by the nomination of Barry Goldwater. He was portrayed and viewed by blacks as a racist. He opposed the Civil Rights Act, and using leftist logic means he must have been racist. That is unfortunately not true, even though it was believed by many. Barry Goldwater was, because he's dead now, an ideologue. His libertarian views is what had him opposing civil rights. He believes, as does our Constitution, that the civil rights was a state's issue and not something the federal government had any business in. This was true, even though even though I'm thankful. Don't get it wrong, I am thankful for the passage of the bill. However, the fact that it was unconstitutional shouldn't be ignored. Barry Goldwater, who Democrats would call racist, had been a founding member of the Arizona NAACP. NAACP. I don't know why I said it like that. He helped. He also helped integrate the Phoenix public school system. These things are not mentioned because why let the facts get into the way of a good story? It was never the members of the party that switched en masse. It was the ideals of the voters. The South simply stopped being the epicenter of racial discrimination. They became more family oriented and religious. These values are what drive the voters in the South. That's why black Republicans can defeat white Democrats in the South. Because it's values, not race, that concerns most Southern voters. But Democrats, they need you to believe that Republicans are racist. How else are they going to maintain the majority of blacks giving them their votes? It's certainly not by helping blacks escape poverty or helping ameliorate the housing conditions and the poor schools they have to endure. Democrats rather give you the crumbs that fall from their plate than give you a seat at the table. A seat Republicans are still offering, but Democratic voters' indoctrination runs so deep that they dismiss Republicans' overtures as tokenism. Democrat voters pay more attention to the words of their Democratic politicians instead of the actions of those politicians. If they paid more attention, they would see that the alleged racist Republicans have done more for the black race than your alleged champion, the Democratic Party. Now, if I'm wrong, please show me factually how I'm wrong. Don't come to me with hyperbole. Don't come to me with some leftist nonsense. Come with me with actual facts if I'm wrong. If you can't, shut the fuck up with that party switch nonsense. Democrats are still as racist as they were when Andrew Johnson stated, "This country is for white men, and as far as long as I am president, it is going to stay a country for white men." That is what the Democrats believe today. That is what they believed yesterday. That is what they will believe tomorrow.